Hey, what's going on, guys? This is going to be my out-of-box review for the high-grade 1/100 scale Serpent Custom. So as said in the unboxing, this is a kit that I've actually built ages ago, but I just rebuilt it now again that I got another one because it's a kit that I really like. It's very far from perfect, though. It's definitely a design that you have to like in order to want to put in the work for this, because it is going to take a fair amount of work. I won't deny that, but this kit I think does come with plenty in the box to give you a good amount of bang for your buck. So we'll go over all that's included with the kit here momentarily, but again, all of this you're going to see in the review comes at the list price of 2,000 yen, which is definitely not bad. That's what a lot of high-grade kits are going for these days. And while this is also a high-grade kit and a quite old one, just because of the fact that it's 1/100 scale, you shouldn't really expect too much more than that. So it is definitely still an old high grade, and with all the flaws of that, but considering everything that you get in the box, I think it's not a bad price for the kit. So let's check it all out. Alright, so first thing that we get included with this kit is this jewel for the eye, this kind of green sticker jewel that you're supposed to stick in there for the eye camera visor thing. I haven't stuck that on there, obviously, because once you stick that, it's probably not going to stick very well again. So I'll save that for once I've got the kit entirely painted. Otherwise, just quickly speaking of stickers, there were a couple more on the kit. You can see those circles there for the parts on the side of the face. Those are stickers in that kind of dark gray color. And this light gray color wrapping around here, the center of the forearm. And then on the back of the leg, this dark gray color here. Big stickers for those as well. Moving on with the accessories and included stuff, we get these 1/20 scale figures of Marimea and Relina Peacecraft. Very nicely detailed, but as you can see, the mold lines on there, you're going to want to probably sand those or move them in some way. But these are in that kind of like softer rubber, which not that soft that I can actually bend it, but soft enough that they don't really take to sandpaper very well. If you guys have any suggestions on how to sand these, do feel free to leave those in the comment section below. But yeah, you can also see on the back, and fortunately they're all on the back, but you can see like the mold release circles there from those as well. That are just details that you're probably going to want to get rid of, that you're going to have a little bit of trouble with. But either way, it's still really cool these are included. And then it's just on into the massive weapons for this kit. So the first one here is the beam cannon. Basically, for the most part, just two parts sandwiched together, so you'll have a big seam line all the way down the middle of that. You have the separate handle piece over here, which will rotate if you need, so that is kind of convenient. And it doesn't really have any other way to attach onto the kit other than that. So that said, it is really cool design, really cool details. So you're supposed to hold it there and then use the other hand to kind of secondary support that up underneath there. There is this peg here on the side because we do also have included these parts here. We've got two of these, which will allow you to attach the weapon onto the backpack for storage. Just plug that into the side of there, and then this plugs onto this backpack part here. Here's one thing that I don't really particularly like about this design is this backpack. The backpack is just kind of really goofy looking. It doesn't really seem to fit with the rest of the design of this big, chunky, bulky, blocky design. And then this weird, I don't know, like ale strike looking backpack thruster parts there. I don't know. I don't really like them too much. But anyway, our next giant weapon is the bazooka, and I really like this one as well. This one is just two pieces sandwiched together, and that's all. But again, really nice detail. If you go in and paint this up, do a little bit of color separation, paint a couple of different colors on there, do obviously the paneling and all that, it's going to look really quite nice. Unfortunately, the handle doesn't move at all, but as you can see, it is set to like a little bit of a forward angle, so it should be able to hold that with it up over the shoulder. You notice this does also have the same connection point for storing this on the backpack, and so you can connect those both onto there. And it's pretty cool. Now, that's two big giant weapons, but he does have more. We've got two of these double Gatling guns. Now, these are the exact same ones that are found with the 1/100 scale HG Heavy Arms kit, the Heavy Arms Custom, I should say, if you have that one. Or if you want that anyway, they're exactly the same. We have this handle part, which is in a little bit kind of softer plastic for some reason. It's not quite polycaps, but again, it's a little bit softer, so I'm not sure how well it's going to take to sanding or painting, but you're going to want to be a little bit careful with that. The other thing that I'm really concerned about this is how well it's really going to be able to hold these in hand, because there's no way to actually connect this onto the arm. You're just relying on the hands to hold that and kind of keep it straight and have it not like at an odd, goofy angle. That said, again, nicely detailed, but fairly simple in the part separation. It's really only made up of a few parts, so you'll have seam lines and all that on there. And speaking of seam lines, they're pretty much just going to be all over this kit for the most part, so you'll notice that as we go through the articulation here. Starting with the head will go up to about there, you're looking at it, and down to a tiny bit down, and that's pretty much it. And of course some rotation, but not really going to be a whole lot going on with the head there. Again, seam line down the side of that. The shoulder joint will actually swing forward and back a little bit. That's not too bad there, kind of cool. This part here at the shoulder, of course, does slide open like so, revealing the missiles inside, but again, big nasty seam line down the side of that through all that detail there. Probably going to have to just replace that or something. This part of the shoulder armor does move independently, and you can bring the shoulder up to here, and then the arm, well, due to the limitations of that, it kind of barely reaches to almost 90 degrees, so aren't going to be able to bring that up vertically very high. But you can rotate that here at a joint just above the elbow joint, and then bend at the elbow joint is going to give you about 90 degrees, not too much, but again, shouldn't really expect too much. The wrist is just on a ball joint, and there's even a seam down the middle of the hand as well, so you'll have, again, lots of seam line removal to do on this kit. As for the articulation of the hands, the fingers themselves, the thumb is fixed, so that doesn't move at all, but we have a 3-in-1 separation here at the fingers, kind of like older style master grade kits. It's basic, but it works. Probably don't need to mention it, but of course there's a seam down the middle of the forearm and even down the middle of the upper arm there as well. Now onto the chest section. It's not going to do anything except for some rotating here, so that really shouldn't come as too much of a surprise. Going back around to the backpack, these will be able to move side to side a little bit and then up and down, and the lower part of this will actually move up and down and side to side a little bit like that as well. Doesn't have any skirt armor to speak of, so we can skip over that. The legs are just on ball and socket joints, so you're only going to be able to get them out to about that far, but due to the limitations of the ankles can't even go flat at that extreme angle anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Without any front skirts, you aren't going to have any problem getting the leg up nice and high, so that's fine. And then when you bend the knee, we do have sort of a double bend here, a double joint, and you can see the knee armor does kind of separate there, which is pretty cool because it's basically connected to this knee joint here in the center. But just because of the shape of everything, you're really only going to be able to get about kind of a 90-degree bend out of that, and barely that, if you could even call it 90 degrees. That said, the thighs are fortunately one of the few parts on here that don't have a seam you have to remove, so that's good. There is one, however, down in the middle and the back of the lower leg there, of course. Nice thruster bell detail poking out the bottom of the leg. Seam line down the middle of the foot here, of course, except for the lighter color part. That's nice. Again, as I showed you before, the ankles don't really move side to side very much. Forward to about there, not bad. Back to about there, not too bad. I did forget to mention that this does move up and down a little bit there as well. And then up underneath the feet, not too bad in terms of the detail. You have a seam line down the middle of the front and back of that, but there you go. And again, it doesn't include any way to attach this onto an action base, so you'll just have to make something work. Well, I would recommend probably that it'd be easiest just drill a hole in that, and that can plug that onto any 3mm peg action base. But we're going to try to use the fork for this instead. Okay, so the fork is not going to work because even the widest fork adapter that is included, and you do get a few different options included with most action bases, even the widest one is not wide enough to fit around the enormous girth of the pelvis section of this kit, so unfortunately you will have to do some sort of modifying if you want this up on action base. Not going to do that at the moment, so for the rest of this review we're just going to be staying on the ground, but it is a pretty ground-based looking mobile suit for the most part, so I don't think it's going to look too odd. That said, I do think it would look pretty cool probably in some aerial poses if you did want to go ahead and do that. So here we have the fully loaded full loadout of the Serpent Custom, and yeah, it actually holds the double beam Gatling guns pretty well because the hand connection around the hand there is pretty tight. I've also cheated a little bit by having the shoulder armor up over the top of the back of the beam Gatling guns, of the double Gatling guns there, to kind of hold them to make sure that the backs of the weapons stay close to the arm. So that is a little bit of a cheat there that you can utilize, and I think it does look pretty well. It doesn't look like too strange, I think, so that works. And I'm usually not the kind of person that likes a kit that's just loaded out with too many weapons, but I gotta say, this doesn't actually look too bad. It kind of fits the design, I think. The biggest issue with this kit is just going to be those seam lines that I keep bringing up, because that's gonna be just kind of the biggest thing that's gonna make this kit not look good just straight out of the box. And just the thing that, as the modeler, is going to require the most work. Now, you could say the articulation is probably one of the weakest points as well, because if you really wanted this to be much more articulated, you would have a lot of work ahead of you. And the legs are especially limiting, with just the hip joints, the knee joints, and the ankle joints, all not really having a whole lot to work with there. But again, with some modification, you could change that. Personally, although I'm not really too worried about that, either, just because I think probably what I'll end up doing with mine is having it in just a kind of fixed standing pose and not really in any sort of action pose anyway. But if you did want an action pose out of this kit, you are going to have your work cut out for you in that respect as well. And so that's going to pretty much do it for the review. As you've seen, it holds the bazooka pretty well, just kind of standard up over the shoulder. For the beam cannon here, it also holds it kind of okay. You do have a little bit of limitation in the stretch of the arms there, but again, not too bad considering. So there you go. That's the HG 100 scale Serpent Custom. An older kit, definitely not the best kit out there by any means, but if you're a fan of the design, I think it's not bad. It just requires a lot of work, and I think for all the guns you get in there, personally, I'm probably only going to end up using the beam cannon for mine, and then I'll give the bazooka and the double Gatling guns, to other kits for some of their kit bashes or something. So just for the kit bash material, plus the two 120 scale figures there of Marimea and Relina Peacecraft, that all makes for a lot of stuff that you can use for other things, not only just this kit. And then you get this kit itself in there as well. So it's all a pretty good package for 2,000 yen. And what do you guys think of it? Let me know down in the comment section below. I've never built the 1/144 scale HG. That one does look kind of arguably worse than this in a lot of ways. So I've just never really bothered. This one, I think, just you get a whole lot more bang for your buck in the package. So let me know what you guys think. If you have built the HG, how it compares. If you've built this, what do you guys think of it? And that is it for the review. If you have any other further questions, leave those down in the comment section below. And with that, guys, I'll see you next time. Bye bye.
Thanks for watching. See you next time.